The Money Show.
Consumer Ninja.
Can you imagine the nightmare of this, right? You've got the big family holiday. It's all planned. You're going to meet this person in Lisbon and that person in Beijing. And on the way back, you're going to see the aunt in Nigeria. And when you do that, just as you're about to go, someone who is very dear to you suddenly falls ill and you actually can't leave because you may not see them again. Well, this is a story that Wendy Knowler has for you tonight as our Consumer Ninja. Wendy, good evening. What happened here?
Hi, Stephen. So, Neela of Malbotten, Joburg, she booked a trip to Greece and Istanbul with her son. It was a mother-son trip. The husband had projects on the go and couldn't join them. And so the plan was that they were leaving on the 6th of September. This is now last year, returning on the 21st. And the husband was staying behind. So on the 13th of August, less than a week, just a few days after she paid Pen Travel 96,000 Rand for that trip, and more than 3 weeks before the due departure date, her husband was diagnosed with serious heart disease and he required an emergency quadruple major heart surgery. So obviously there was no way that she was going to be going, right? It clashed with the trip. You're not going to leave your spouse under those circumstances. And so she immediately contacted the travel agency to cancel the trip. She was asked to provide a medical certificate, which she did. And then the company said, well, we're not going to pay you back that 96,000 Rand in full. The issue is that if you take out travel insurance, they will cover such a scenario.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, whenever I've ever looked at travel insurance, it has all of that there.
Yes, so unfortunately, when she was sitting with the travel agent, she was asked, do you want to buy this policy? And she thought, oh, it looks a bit expensive. Let me explore with other means. And of course, her husband fell ill days later, and so that never happened because the trip wasn't going to happen.
Yes, so I mean, now that I think about it, like I would pay for the trip and then just before I travel, probably get the travel insurance.
This is one of the takeouts from this is that, I mean, I'm traveling to New Zealand in March and I haven't thought to take out insurance yet because you take it for the trip, right? Now, what if I had to cancel if my partner fell ill also I was unable to go. I felt unable to go. I'd also want my money back. So here's the thing. The Consumer Protection Act does give consumers the right to a full refund if they cancel an advance booking due to, and this is the wording, because of the death or hospitalization of the person for whom or for whose benefit the booking was made. It doesn't mention anything about an immediate family member falling ill, right? It's only when you have travel insurance. Okay, but what interested me in this case is, I should also say that the Act says that if you cancel an advance booking, you are entitled to a refund, but they're obviously going to be able to give you one that takes into account, if you cancel very late and they haven't got very little opportunity to resell that booking, then your refund is going to be small. But the point is, under these circumstances of death and hospitalization, you should get it in full. Anyway, so what interested me, as I said, was that Neela took her case to the Consumer Goods and Services Ombudsman because she felt it wasn't fair, that the Act required fair service. And the Ombud came back and said, while the cancellation section of the CPA that I've just read out doesn't include the words direct family members, nothing precludes the company, precludes the Ombud rather, from requesting that the supplier consider the complainant's request in light of the circumstances. And the Ombud felt that seeing as the family member in question was the spouse, it would be reasonable to conclude that any person in that position would not proceed with the booking and would rather remain with the spouse due to the medical condition that they had. And in addition, that she'd given 3 weeks notice prior to travel and had paid only days before she'd cancelled, and that also a blanket no refund policy was not acceptable in terms of the provisions of the CPA. So on all those bases, they asked that a full refund be made, and Pen Travel said that the company had a no refund policy, and as did their third party suppliers because they're the intermediary, and that also then they said the package was tailor made for Neela. And therefore, the Act precludes them having to issue a refund. And the Ombud said, we don't agree with you. And that's when communication ended, right? So yeah, that was when she turned to me to say, I feel this is grossly unfair.
Sure.
Can you help?
So off you go to the travel agency. I imagine, being Wendy Knowler, they took your call. What happened after that?
It's an email, which takes a little bit more time. But yes, the CEO, Paulo de Oliveira, came back to me to say, he started off by saying, we're very sorry this happened, very unfortunate. We did offer her travel insurance, but she declined. And then they went on to say that they actually had recovered about half of what she'd paid, so around 40-something thousand. But by signing the contract as she did, she'd bound herself to the third party's terms and conditions, i.e. no refund. And that they had urged her to take out travel insurance. We've covered why she didn't. He then said when she cancelled, which was days after she'd paid in full, the company did its best to recover funds from the third-party companies, and we did manage to get back just over 40,000 rand, mainly from the airlines, and a credit from one hotel amounting to 16,500 rand. In addition, he said, given the distressing circumstances, Pen Travel will waive our own cancellation fees and refund 100% of the commission earned on the booking.
So
they've got this money.
Yeah. So what's bizarre is that unless you had emailed, they got that money back, but they would not have refunded it to her unless you'd emailed.
No, I did go back to Neela and say, you didn't mention this part. And she said, yes, it was a lower amount. They said about 35,000. Okay. And the reason she didn't want to accept it was that then she felt that she'd waive her rights to the full claim.
Sure, right.
I said to her, what now? And she said, well, it's been referred by the Ombud to the National Consumer Commission, and that might go to the tribunal. She's considering her options. But she strongly feels, she paid 96,000 rand. 4 days later, cancelled. How can it be reasonable for her to have had to, sacrifice that much? So the moral of the story is, consider travel insurance, and not only just before you travel, because you want to be covered in this circumstances. If you fell ill, if someone for whom you paid fell ill, you would get the money back, because that's according to the Act. But this immediate spouse and a sort of natural situation. I wish the Act had actually included direct family, because that would have made things a lot easier. But you have to have travel insurance for that. And also some travel companies definitely will cancel. They have it in their terms and conditions that if it's a direct member of your family that needs to be hospitalized or who dies, you will get a full refund. So consider that the worst may happen, and interrogate the terms and conditions so that you go in eyes wide open, knowing what you're in for should you cancel.
What does Wendy Knowler always say? Read the fine print. Wendy, thank you. You're Consumer Ninja. Enjoy New Zealand. Don't forget to pack the World Cup. Wendy Knowler is our Consumer Ninja on The Money Show.